Welcome back to episode 3. I don't know what take this is because I've had to restart for so many different reasons and I've just not lost the flow, but I've just had enough. Like, this is the final take, and if it doesn't work, then this week's episode is not coming out. I'm going to do it another day or next week. But yeah. Anyway, this is The Unpredictable Life of Josh Ball, and yeah, episode 3, which is pretty good. Because I didn't think I was going to make it past episode 1. Episode 2 was like a lot shorter, and then, yeah, episode 3. I actually wanted to do this episode, which is not a weird feeling, but not something I thought I'd want to do. Like, I didn't think it'd be something that I'd be like, oh, you know what, I want to sit down and record an episode. But anyways, I've been reflecting on my life recently. Well, it's Tuesday as I record this, but yeah, I've been looking at like where I am in my life and where I want to progress forward and what's working now and what I want to improve so I can move into a more manageable life of actually being where I want to be and not where I am currently, because at the moment I'm working a part-time job with almost full-time hours at a company, whereas I want to be either self-employed or at a creative job or even an apprenticeship. It's like one of those. Maybe the hours would be even more. Well, yeah, I can imagine the hours being a lot more, but it'd be something I'd be enjoying. But yeah, I've decided that I am going to start planning my life more going into the future so that I know what I want to achieve and it doesn't just end up in my notes and maybe achieved randomly, or not randomly, but not in like the manner of it being achieved more manageable time. I could have say selling photo prints, for example, it's like in the back of my mind, or I just get to it whenever I feel like or it crosses my mind. Whereas if I start planning it out and doing like small steps towards it, it'd get done a lot quicker and would actually be a lot more thought out with just a little bit of time here and there, and it'd get to the same goal anyways, but it'd be at least on my mind and on not like a to-do list, but it'd be like, oh, this thing needs to get done. It doesn't need to get done now, but just in the nearer future, which is, I think, a more healthier way of like planning as like a creative, for example, because you try and do so many different things and you got so many little things going on that if you don't have a plan of some sort, then you either become really stressed out or you just get to it whenever you can and you don't really progress in like a reasonable and a manageable way. Whereas if you at least have like a framework of, oh, this week I want to sit down and do a podcast. Don't need to put any like deadlines on it for it, but you just be like, oh, okay, I need to do it this week, and I'll get around to it when I can, because currently for me my weeks are a little bit different from each other, so it's not like I'm going to be like, oh yeah, Thursday sounds like a great idea, because when it comes around to Thursday I might not want to do it, or I could have done it earlier, or I might just do it a little bit later down in the week. But yeah, it's just managing my time in like a reasonable way. But yeah, it's not gonna make a huge difference to start off with, because I'm gonna get used to the system and that. But it's just setting myself up to create a more controlled and planned out life, which going forward is definitely a must-have, because I'm surprised I even managed. Well, I had some sort of plan for uni and stuff, but I could have done that much more efficiently if I just had a clearer plan for myself. And for some projects I did, but it was not as it was sometimes I had to. I wouldn't have been able to complete certain modules and stuff if I hadn't. So it's just one of those. But yeah, I also realised that by looking back at my life, since I did my GCSEs at school and stuff, I've noticed that a lot of my main accomplishments and like what, not just a main accomplishment, but like new skills or something have come from like great, not great pain, but like really high amounts of like disappointment and like sadness. Whereas if I start like with my GCSEs, for example, I failed all of them, and then from that point onwards, I was more driven to do well in college to prove that I wasn't like a failure, and that I was and did make a mistake at that current point in my life. So that is a positive in itself, because if I didn't fail my GCSEs, I wouldn't have pushed myself so hard in college to prove a point, not just to myself, but to others, to be that I could actually do it, and I just messed up at that point in my life. And it's also even bigger accomplishment now to think that I've got through the whole of uni with no, it's not that, it's just like I'm like one of the few people who've gone to uni with no qualifications from GCSE point to then making up an equivalent at college, and then finding a course for me that I could do, and then going on to the point of like completing uni with no resets of years or anything, no resets of modules, and actually finishing it on my own back, doing something that I like, but also being able to get through something like that with a very, very bad start, which just goes to show it doesn't matter how bad you mess up, there's always, if you've got the willingness to do it, you can always go through and actually achieve something you actually want to do, as long as you don't give up. That's the one major takeaway, is that you don't give up. You have to be like, oh, okay, I've messed up at this time. It might take a few years to like redeem yourself as like, oh my god, I'm actually not as bad as I thought, or there's just a low point in my life. But yeah, as long as you're always improving going forward, then you're not really going to like mess up your life in a sense. Like, you might start a business and it might fail, but then the two businesses that you start down the line might either get to like a stagnant amount that you can't get past 20,000 profit in revenue like a year, because you've either like got yourself stuck with like too many overheads or something like that, or your third business, if you decide to sell that one, or you just stop doing it completely because you're not interested anymore, then you could break that barrier and go on to achieve even bigger things. But yeah, can't expect everything to work out first time, or if you do something bad at the start but you continue it and it gets better and then it gets to a good place, then your bad start helped you get to where you were, because you had to improve from your bad start to get to a good place, because otherwise you can't improve on what you don't know. And if you're starting out, then you can look back and go, oh, okay, this didn't work well, I just need to improve this next time, and just improve little bits going forward and stuff. But yeah, like, and then there's also the other side where you're stuck in the comfort zone and you basically get to a point in your life where you're happy, everything's going well, you could have like a really good job and everything, and you're just content in life. You're not struggling in life anymore, you're not worrying about, oh, I gotta make rent or something like that, but you're also not progressing any further. You've hit like this nice comfortable place, which for some people might be fine, because it depends on what you think is success is to yourself, because every single person has a different definition of what success means to them, and some people could be on a lot more money than you and a lot better places than you, but still not feel as successful as you are, because they don't look at it the same way you do, which is an interesting thing to even talk about to any single person that you speak to, because they might be like, oh, making 20 grand a year is like, oh, that's success to me, and then another person be like, oh no, I actually want 100k plus a year, and then that was what success for me to looks like. But even when you achieve those goals, you still don't feel like you've hit the successful place you thought that you once did, because you're always moving towards something else. But then if you don't move towards something else and you've gone, oh, okay, this is fine, or you have children and you get married or something, then you stop by accident, then that's when you start hitting like the comfort zone, or like a stagnant point in your life where you're not moving forward anymore, you're just staying the same. Maybe you'll even look at your life and actually think, oh no, I'm actually going backwards, and you're not feeling like yourself anymore, and you're not happy where you are in life, which is a big thing to realize and a hard thing to tell yourself. But it's just one of those, like, you need to like manage your life in a way that you feel is best for you, and the best way to do that is to like start with small things in your life, especially if you're unhappy, or if you're in a happy place, you just want to like improve something or move on to something, then start breaking life down to like small little pieces. It could be like money habits, just start with that, and then it'd be like, or it could even be like food habits, it'd be like what you eat and everything, something every single day. But it's just like, start with something small and just keep doing that until you've actually got to the point where you've actually got almost your whole life in your like head or written down somewhere, that you like actually understand why you are where you are, or what's going wrong with your life. Like, if you're starting to feel like more tired, more fatigued, it might be because you stopped doing exercise like 2 months ago, and now those negatives caught up to you because you didn't realize it at the time, but your body was slowly getting back to not an unhealthy state, but not the healthiest state that it was at before. So it's just one of those. So if you just like find out, or even look back at your life, it's like, why I managed to make so much progress in this point in my life, but now at this point I don't feel like I'm making as much. It might be because of emotional trauma, it might be that you messed up in life, or it might be that you didn't have the money at that point in your life. It could be many reasons. But always try to look like you're going forward in life, even if that takes a long time. It might be something you're trying to do now that won't pay off for like another 5, 10 years, 20 years, but just keep making small steps towards like goals or improving yourself, your life, and you'll slowly shape your life to what it for what you want it to be. But then if you're in a relationship with someone, that might be even more difficult, because that's when I've got another person that is having a massive effect on your life, and then you can take into account if you're like family as well. So you've got like all these external factors that might make your life a lot more difficult, but it's just understanding what you can do at this point in time, and what you want to aim towards as an individual, because we all have external factors and we all have internal factors, but we can always move forwards, even if it takes some people longer than others. But yeah, it's just something I wanted to get off my mind and talk about, because it's something that I've noticed a lot, because I've now come to more of like finished uni, and just looking back at how much I've accomplished or how much has changed in the past 7-8 years, and it's just like, whoa, like all of these things wouldn't have happened if this thing didn't happen, or wouldn't have got to where I am now if I hadn't done this at this point in time. And it's just like, whoa, it's just really not overwhelming, but it's like, it really does make you question why you do feel how you do right now, even though you might have achieved so much. It might just be that you need a break, or you just need a little bit of a like stagnant point to be able to go on to this next loads of like progression, because you can't always be progressing without some sort of like knockback or something going wrong, or money problems or whatever it is, because if you're always progressing upwards, the crash will be even bigger when you get to the other side. So it's just being aware of your life, but just being careful overall, basically. But yeah, I'm not gonna be like giving you tips and stuff, but I'm just giving you like my sort of like the way I see it, and you might see a different way yourself. But yeah, it's just a topic that I wanted to talk about and get off my mind, because it's something I've been doing a lot recently, and I feel like it may be by the end of this year or start of next year, where I am now will be very, very different to then, because if I do keep to how I said I would by planning my life, even if it's just a little bit of my life, I'll still have more structure than I did now compared to then, which is in a way is a positive, which for me I'm happy to do, because I'm not going to be able to move forward in life if I don't start planning my life out just a little bit more than what it already is, because I feel like I'm at the point where I have no structure at all now, because I've come out of uni, had some sort of like structure for like, oh, I've got these uni deadlines, and that kept me in like, on uni lectures to attend, which all kept me like on towards a path. But now it's all down to myself, and if I don't have some sort of plan in place, then I'll just be living day to day and week to week, and sooner or later you'll be like, oh my god, years have gone past and I haven't made any progress, or I've made such a little amount of progress because I've been in this go with the flow sort of state that I wouldn't have got to where I wanted to be already, or even on track to get to that point of where I want to be. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. But hopefully, even if you just listened to a little bit of this podcast, I hope that it brings some sort of value to you, because it's scary to look back in your life and see why certain things happen for a reason, or even understand how you got to the place you are, because each person's different, and there's so many factors that we don't take into account that end up impacting us in such a big way. But yeah, this is episode 3, and I hope you enjoyed.